Imagine this. A sweltering summer day, centuries back, maybe a town square somewhere, and suddenly one person just starts dancing.
Right. Not like happy dancing, though.
No, not at all. It's like they're forced, compelled by something invisible. And then more people join. Dozens, hundreds.
And they can't stop. Literally cannot stop.
Even when their feet are bleeding, their bodies are failing. Some even collapsing and, well, dying. Today, you're joining us for a deep dive into one of history's strangest, most unsettling episodes, the dancing plague. You might also know it as dance mania or St. Vitus's dance.
Yeah, and our mission today is really to try and unpack this for you. It's such an extraordinary phenomenon. We'll look at, where and when these outbreaks happen.
The symptoms, too. What did it actually feel like?
Exactly. The symptoms, the desperate things people tried to do to understand it, to cure it, and what it all tells us, maybe, about stress, belief, and the human mind, especially under pressure.
We've pulled together accounts from the time, historical records, early medical thoughts, and of course modern scientific ideas to piece this all together. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start there. What was it actually like? If you were there, what would you have seen? Or, God forbid, experienced?
The descriptions we have are, frankly, harrowing. People would just start dancing completely out of the blue, and vigorously, too. Jumping, spinning, gyrating, sometimes screaming or chanting, barely stopping for breath. It wasn't a party, not a performance. It felt like a compulsion.
And it got weirder than just dancing, didn't it? I read accounts of people rolling in the dirt, making animal noises.
Yes, definitely. Some sources describe exactly that, acting like animals, squealing. Some apparently ripped off their clothes, made crude gestures, or even got aggressive towards onlookers who wouldn't join in.
Wow. And demanding strange things, too, like people beating their feet.
Yeah, screaming for people to hit the soles of their feet or throw them up in the air. It's bizarre. Almost like they thought physical shock could break whatever was controlling them.
And hallucinations on top of all that.
Many reportedly experience hallucinations, yes. Seeing things, hearing things, which probably just fueled the nonstop movement. And this could go on for days, sometimes weeks, even months.
Months? How is that even possible?
Until complete exhaustion set in. And even then, someone might collapse, twitching, maybe foaming at the mouth, gasping. But then somehow get back up and start dancing again once they regained a tiny bit of strength.
It's just horrifying to imagine. The physical toll must have been immense. Never mind the mental terror. Did people actually die from this?
Oh, absolutely. The consequences were often fatal. People died from pure physical exhaustion, heart attacks, cardiac arrest.
Just their bodies giving out.
Exactly. Or from injuries they got during the wild, dancing broken bones, internal damage. Imagine that feeling, being trapped in your own body, unable to stop it, even as it's literally destroying itself. It's terrifying. Now, Strasbourg in 1518, that's the really famous one everyone points to, but these dancing fits, they weren't totally new.
Right, it wasn't a one-off event.
No, not at all. We have records suggesting similar things happening much earlier, maybe as far back as the 7th century, and they popped up periodically across Europe right up until the 17th century.
1,000 years of sporadic dancing plagues. That's wild. Can you give us an idea of some earlier ones?
Sure. One of the first really well-documented cases was in Aachen, Germany. This was back in 1374.
Okay.
Thousands of people suddenly started dancing in the streets, hallucinating, couldn't stop themselves. Huge numbers involved before it eventually just faded away.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Just spontaneously.
Seems so. And then there was another grim one in Erfurt, also Germany. A group was dancing wildly on a bridge over the Moselle River.
Oh, no, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. The bridge collapsed under the strain. Killed many of the maybe 200 or so dancers.
Awful. And that Erfurt incident, or ones like it, that's connected to one of the names, right?
Yeah.
St. Vitus's dance.
Exactly. Survivors were often taken to chapels dedicated to St. Vitus, sometimes spelled Ivitus, seeking help, a cure. He became associated with neurological issues, epilepsy, and this dancing mania. So the name St. Vitus's dance stuck.
So faced with this terrifying, inexplicable dancing, what did people back then think was causing it? How did they try to make sense of it all?
Well, in the medieval mindset, the explanation was almost always supernatural or religious.
Right. Curses, demons.
Pretty much. It was seen as a divine curse for sin, maybe God's judgment, or straight-up demonic possession. The general belief was that God had a hand in pretty much every illness causing it, curing it.
You really see that link between dancing and sin in writings from the time. I remember reading Sebastian Brandt.
Oh, absolutely. Brandt, the humanist cleric in Strasbourg, wrote The Ship of Fools around 1494. He literally said, and I'm paraphrasing slightly, Satan invented the dance. It stirs up pride, lewdness.
So dancing itself was suspect.
Highly suspect. And others, like Johannes Pauli, who taught clerics, wrote stories linking dancing directly to sin, demons, curses. They genuinely believed only the church, through absolution or exorcism, could fix it.
Which explains why praying to saints like St. John the Baptist became a thing leading to another name, St. John's Dance.
Precisely. Or performing exorcisms. These were the logical cures within their worldview.
But it's interesting how reactions varied. It wasn't always seen as demonic possession everywhere, was it?
No, and that's fascinating. You see real regional differences. Down in Italy, especially the South, you had tarantism.
Ah, yes, the spider bite theory.
Right, supposedly caused by a tarantula bite. And there, the dancing, the tarantella, was sometimes seen as the cure, a way to sweat out the poison. Almost a good thing in a bizarre way.
A necessary evil, maybe?
Kind of. But then you go somewhere like Spain, 1507. Completely different story. Reports say about 30 women seen dancing hysterically were rounded up and burned alive.
Burned. Just for dancing.
Accused of witchcraft, demonic influence. It shows the extreme fear and how interpretations could swing wildly.
Okay, that really sets the stage. Let's zoom in on the big one. Strasbourg, 1518. This seems to be the most documented, maybe the most intense case. And it all started with one woman.
Yes, Frau Treffe. Sometime around mid-July 1518, she just walks out of her house and starts dancing right there in the street.
Just like that.
Just like that. And she didn't stop. Danced for days, apparently. Feet bruised, bleeding, barely sleeping. A terrifying sight.
And then others started.
Pretty quickly, yeah. Within a few days, maybe 30 others had joined her. And within a month. Estimates say around 400 people were dancing uncontrollably in the streets of Strasbourg.
400 people. And the death toll we mentioned earlier, that was happening here too.
Absolutely. It became a full-blown crisis. Reports suggest as many as 15 people were dying each day.
15 a day, just from dancing.
From the sheer exhaustion, heart failure, strokes, injuries. It was horrifying. Witnesses describe people screaming in agony, begging for mercy, but utterly unable to stop.
And Strasbourg, at that specific moment, it wasn't exactly a happy, peaceful place, was it? The context seems really important here.
Oh, absolutely crucial. Strasbourg in 1518 was a city on the edge. They'd just gone through multiple severe famines in the preceding decades.
Food prices through the roof.
Exactly. Then another bad famine just the year before, 1517, they literally called it the bad year. On top of that, diseases like smallpox, leprosy were spreading, orphanages were overflowing, there was social unrest, political tension, and this pervasive, almost apocalyptic dread. People were stressed beyond belief.
So you have this city already simmering with anxiety and hardship, and then suddenly hundreds of people are dancing themselves to death. What did the city leaders, the doctors, do? What was their first reaction?
Well, initially, they tried to be, modern for the time. The city council consulted physicians, their diagnosis, hot blood.
Hot blood? What does that even mean?
It comes from the old Galenic humoral theory, the idea that the body has 4 humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, black bile. An imbalance, like too much hot blood, was thought to overheat the brain and cause madness.
Okay, so based on this hot blood diagnosis, what was the prescribed treatment?
This is the truly baffling part. Their cure was more dancing.
Wait, what? More dancing?
Yeah. The logic, flawed as it sounds to us, was that the dancers needed to keep moving to essentially burn off or sweat out the excess hot blood. So the city authorities actually hired musicians, built stages, cleared open spaces.
To encourage them to dance even more.
Precisely. They thought they were helping, providing a therapeutic environment.
That seems incredibly counterproductive.
Ah.
Did it work?
Not even slightly. It was a catastrophic failure. It just seemed to make things worse, attract more people into the frenzy, maybe even speed up the tempo. It absolutely backfired.
Right. So when Plan A, the Dance It Out plan, failed spectacularly, what did they do next? Did they rethink the whole hot blood thing?
Well, they shifted gears dramatically. When the medical approach failed, they swung back towards more traditional, almost medieval explanations and solutions. Moral policing, essentially.
Okay, like what?
They banned public dancing altogether, slapped a hefty fine on it. They banned music, too. Drums were apparently seen as particularly dangerous, likely to trigger it.
Interesting.
And they went further. They rounded up people considered immoral or loose gamblers, prostitutes, and banished them from the city.
Why? What was the thinking there?
The belief seemed to shift towards the idea that the city's sins had brought this on as a divine punishment, a curse. So, clean up the city's morals, maybe the curse lifts?
But the dancing still didn't stop.
Apparently not, or not enough. The bans didn't seem to have much immediate effect, so the ultimate cure involved going full medieval, really.
How so?
They gathered up the remaining afflicted dancers, loaded them onto wagons, and physically transported them out of the city up a mountain to a shrine dedicated to
Shade fight.
St. Vitus himself, near a town called Zabern. There they held a special mass. The dancers were given little crosses, red shoes, interestingly, which were blessed with holy oil by priests.
And did that work?
Remarkably, the sources suggest it did. After this religious intervention at the shrine, the dancing gradually subsided and finally stopped, which really points to how powerful the psychological element must have been. Appealing to their deep-seated beliefs seemed to provide the release the medical approach couldn't.
That's incredible. Years later, though, someone tried to look at this more scientifically, right? Paracelsus.
Yes, Paracelsus, a major figure in Renaissance medicine, wrote about it in the 1520s and 30s. He actually coined the term choreomania, which literally means dancing madness.
And he saw it differently from the purely religious or demonic view?
He did. He started framing it more as a disease, moving away from assuming direct divine intervention as the main cause. He actually proposed 3 different types or causes for choreomania.
Okay, what were they?
First, he had chorea lasciva. This was for people he considered, well, sinful or of loose character. His examples were pretty blunt, like whores and scoundrels.
Still a bit judgmental.
Oh, definitely still tied to morality. But he saw their dancing not as direct divine punishment, but more like a natural consequence of their lifestyle choices affecting their body. His cure was pretty harsh, too. Lock them up somewhere dark, starve them, maybe throw them in cold water.
Yikes. Okay, what was the second type?
Second was something he called laughing veins. This was for, say, innocent people, children. He had this theory about overheated blood in specific veins causing a sort of uncontrollable ticklishness, leading to dancing, a purely physical, natural cause.
Interesting, like a physiological malfunction.
Exactly. The cure involved things to cool the blood, maybe chemical treatments.
And the third type, you mentioned this was maybe the most insightful.
Right. The third was imagination. Paracelsus believed that just seeing or hearing the dance could overwhelm someone's reason, basically induce a kind of madness through suggestion, and that this could spread rapidly.
Wow, that sounds almost like contagion, but psychological.
Precisely. It's a very early, almost intuitive grasp of mass psychogenic illness. It explains why the Strasbourg Council banning music and public dancing, even though it failed at the time, kind of made sense from this perspective. They were trying to stop the imaginative trigger from spreading.
Paracelsus was definitely moving things forward, even if the idea seems strange now. But fast forward to today. What does modern science make of the dancing plague? People often mention ergotism, that fungus on rye bread. Could that explain it?
That's a common theory, and it's plausible up to a point. Ergot poisoning or St. Anthony's fire absolutely can cause hallucinations, convulsions, muscle spasms, delirium, things that might look a bit like frantic dancing. But ergotism usually comes with other very specific symptoms. One major one is severe vasoconstriction, restricted blood flow, which often leads to agonizing gangrene, loss of fingers, toes, even limbs.
And we don't really see descriptions of that in the dancing plague accounts.
Not really, not on a wide scale. The focus is overwhelmingly on the dancing and exhaustion, not rotting limbs. So while ergot might have played a role in some individual cases or added to the general misery, it doesn't seem to fully explain these large-scale, coordinated-looking dancing outbreaks.
Okay, so if ergotism isn't the main answer,
Yeah.
what is? Considering everything, the context, the psychology, the way it spread, the way it eventually stopped, what's the leading hypothesis now?
The most widely accepted explanation today, the one that seems to fit the known facts best, is mass hysteria, or what's now often termed mass psychogenic illness.
Mass hysteria. That sounds dramatic, but makes sense given the conditions you described in Strasbourg.
Exactly. Think about it. Extreme, prolonged stress from famine, disease, war, social upheaval. Deep-seated religious beliefs about sin, possession, and divine punishment. A general atmosphere of fear and uncertainty.
A perfect storm, psychologically speaking.
Absolutely. The thinking is that this immense pressure caused a few vulnerable individuals to, well, snap in a culturally specific way through this uncontrollable dancing. And then, because everyone shared the same fears and beliefs, the behavior spread rapidly through suggestion and imitation, psychological contagion.
So the belief that they were cursed or possessed actually contributed to the symptoms.
Very likely. If you intensely believe an external force is controlling your body, combined with the effects of sleep deprivation, dehydration, malnutrition from days of dancing, you could easily start hallucinating, lose voluntary muscle control, and genuinely feel unable to stop.
And the St. Vitus cure worked because it addressed that core belief.
Precisely. It provided a powerful, culturally resonant ritual that offered a psychological out. It gave people permission to believe the curse was lifted, allowing them to regain control. It checks all the boxes for max psychogenic illness.
It really sounds like a desperate, almost subconscious way for a whole community's unbearable anxiety to manifest physically.
In a way, yes. It's maybe not totally dissimilar to other culturally bound phenomena like running amok in Southeast Asia, where extreme stress could trigger a violent outburst. Or even thinking about something modern like death by cop, where intense distress leads to self-destructive actions. The dancing plague was perhaps a specific historical manifestation of collective trauma, finding a physical, albeit bizarre and dangerous, outlet.
This whole story is just a stark reminder of how connected our minds, our bodies, and our societies really are. How collective fear and belief can have tangible, terrifying physical consequences.
Definitely. And what's really striking is seeing how Strasbourg in 1518 was caught between worlds. You had the old medieval religious explanations right alongside these new emerging medical ideas from Paracelsus and others.
A real transition point.
Yeah, a shift in understanding disease in the body. But underneath it all, that deep-seated fear of uncontrolled movement, of dance being linked to sin or chaos that seemed to persist across both worldviews. It makes you think about how we frame inexplicable things today.
It really does. The sheer power of belief, collective anxiety. It's quite sobering.
And it's not just ancient history. It leaves you with a question, really. Think about something much more recent. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic in 1962.
Laughter, not dancing.
No, laughter. Started with a few schoolgirls in Tanzania giggling uncontrollably. It spread through the school, 60% of students affected over a month, forcing closures. Then it spread to other villages, other schools, ultimately affecting maybe 1,000 people. No clear physical cause found.
Wow. Another mass psychogenic event.
Exactly. A completely different manifestation, but the same underlying mechanism, likely driven by the stresses of recent independence and societal change. It just shows that these collective psychological phenomena, they're real. They can happen even in modern times. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What forms might they take today, fueled by our collective anxieties? What are we maybe not seeing?